preparing. The tension is building. Lads, we're live.
Hey.
It seems like an absolute age. When did the season end? Has the season actually ended yet? Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Manchester Blues Show. It's been that long. I've forgotten to do intros. It has been ages. It's been weeks. Absolutely donkeys. It's good to be back, though. I've got a smile on my face. Can we put the Euros to one side for a brief moment and talk about City? I've missed talking about City so much.
Yeah.
Hasn't it been good? I tell you what, though, I've been really, really proud of the City lads over the last month or so. I think they've all stood up and done really well. But we'll talk about that for a couple of minutes, and we'll talk on to the season preview. Brian, who's been your standout City player? We'll go around the table, lads, and ask that question to everyone. But who would you think, Brian's been your outstanding City player so far?
I mean, it has to be Kyle Walker. Made the team I think Kyle Walker was probably, in the end, probably the best right back in the tournament. Yeah, he was consistent all the way through. He wasn't very attacking, but the reason England got to the final was because we had a good defence, and he was part of that. Pretty harsh on John Stones, but for me, Kyle Walker was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I felt a bit sorry for John Stones because he was pipped to the punch, wasn't he, by a couple of defenders, and I think there was a lot of argument to say he was there or thereabouts. But I think Bonucci, Chiellini, obviously with winning it, and a few other players that stood out. What about you? What were you, Dan?
Has to be Raz. Has to be. He's been phenomenal all tournament, and the amount of stick he went in going into the tournament, he really put the middle finger up to him, didn't he? And said, "Look, I'm back. Hopefully, he can kick that on and play that way for City."
Part of me wanted to say this before the season ended. Do you think he saved himself in any way, knowing that he didn't want to get injured because this could potentially be his second to last chance of playing for England?
No, nowhere near. I think he was due a bit of a blip in terms of out of form, because he's, as much as people slate him for being inconsistent, stuff like that, he's been phenomenal over the past 2.5 years. He was due a period where he couldn't score in a brothel. And, fair play to him. Hopefully he can pull his finger out and, kick onto the sill, and we know he is.
It's a good shout, that. Yeah, no, I like that. And it's quite nice to have a lot of other England fans support him as well. In with a shout for player of the tournament, wasn't he? It's very, very close, and I think if he would have scored in the final, we would have won. I think he would have got it. How about you, Dave? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I've probably got to go with Brian. I think Kyle Walker just kind of outlined himself as probably the best right back in the world right now. And I had a question about that as well. Is he one of the co-captains at City? So when Fernandinho isn't playing, I know it tends to go to De Bruyne, but if De Bruyne is not there, is Kyle Walker one of the
He must be one of the He must be one of the senior ones. Him and Sterling. There must be 3 or 4 of them.
It was Fernandinho, Kevin De Bruyne, Sterling. I'm sure one of them was Kyle Walker. I'm not sure if I know Diaz was the 6th man, wasn't he, that got brought in, because he wasn't five, wasn't he?
In terms of senior,
was playing on my mind through the tournament that, I mean, they kept saying throughout the tournament, he is one of the most experienced England players now. You know, the Sanchos and Fodens, etc., looking up to him. He's got 10 years on them. So, but I just couldn't remember if he was. And I think I would do a little special mention for Foden as well. I felt a bit bad for him when he got taken off against Scotland. I honestly believed he was our best player against Scotland. I was stunned when he was taken off. And then we saw him for, 10 minutes again during the whole tournament. And I mean, we got to the final, but I don't think he deserved that, because I thought
he was the victim of the negative formation we were playing, weren't he, for a while?
Yeah.
The way it goes, really.
I just
want to talk about Kyle Walker a bit quickly there. Do you guys think that maybe like 1 or 2 years' time, when he's not as fast as he was, do you think he might? I think he will switch to a centre back, and I think he'll do really well as a right, as like a cover defender. I think as he's getting older, he's maturing, his defending is obviously going to get a little bit better. His pace gets him out of trouble. I think he'll make a really good right-sided centre back.
You think in years to come?
Yeah, 2-3 years when he's 33, 34, and he's not in the first name of the team yet. I think he will probably go into a really good centre back. I see it in him. He's got the pace. It's whether or not he can get rid of the mistakes, but I feel like for the longevity of his career, you kind of tend to see that with fullbacks, don't you? You kind of like can switch inside a bit. Gary Neville did it. You know, Ramos was originally a right back. He went into the centre half. I feel like he's never going to be on that sort of level, but I feel like he would add some value to our team as a right-sided centre back if we ever needed him. That obviously fills up that space, doesn't it, for somebody else in the future.
You could throw the likes of Alaba into that category. You know, he was a left back for a while as well as a
there's a few that
mid.
as they've got older, have gone narrower.
Yeah,
Walker didn't go forward at all in that final in the Euros, did he? Really, maybe once or twice in 7 games. And he didn't really do much at City last season. He was bombing down the wing. I think those days are gone. I think he's more of a cover now, and he's really good on the ball as well. So I think that if we ever switched to 3 at the back at City, he would be a shoe-in for that right-sided centre back, wouldn't he?
He's really matured so well over the last 2 or 3 seasons as a player, and you can see that in his game, can't you? And you can see that in the plaudits he gets. I still think he's one of our best players. I love to see him on the team sheet. I think he's what competition has he got for City now? Then who's up against him for right back? Because it's going to be hard to get him to crowbar him out of that position.
It's Cancelo, isn't it? It's going to be Cancelo really. straight in.
Yeah.
And if they both play 30, 40 games next season, that's pretty much all the season between them two. There's no one ever going to get another game there, is there, really, unless it's out of necessity.
No.
Were you guys... I'll answer this first, and I'll kind of put the question out there. Were you guys disappointed Phil didn't get as much time? Now for me, I was at first, but I could see the bigger picture, and I couldn't argue with Southgate's selections or formations because it was working and it got us to the final. So I'll have nothing to be said negatively for Southgate because he got us there. He did everything he could do. And for me, I wanted to see Foden more, but I could understand what he was doing with interchanging that wide position because I think 9 or 10 of the players selected themselves, didn't they? And there was just that Saka type position where I wasn't too sure about. Were you guys surprised you didn't see more of Foden?
Me personally, as I said, I was after the Scotland game because I felt he was one of our better players. I really do. He was bringing some attacking intent there. But to your point, Tom, I do agree that Southgate got us to that final with the lineups that he had. So you can't complain too much. I think what Foden has to do now is go back and force his way into that starting 11 for Qatar in 18 months' time. And I think we're probably going to get into the World Cup, aren't we, with the group that we're in? And that's what he's got to focus on. And if it's the same kind of formation, where does Foden see himself? Is it taking over from Mount, who seems to be a shoo-in, or is it, being like a wing back like Trippier or Saka were? I don't know. I'd like to see Foden try and force his way in somehow because he's such a phenomenal player.
Yes, it's going to be a really key season for Foden, this one. Not just for City, but for England as well, and take a stake in that claim.
I think he'll... eventually, the fact that he's playing week in, week out for our team in the Premier League he'll start most games for England. And if it wasn't in the finals of a European competition like we've just been in then, if these were three qualifying games, he probably would have started them all, and he will probably start them all going forward because he is an attacking player, which we didn't have. Southgate took the more pragmatic approach for the finals to make sure we didn't concede, and I can kind of live given, it's a bit of give and take, isn't it? He's a bit of a luxury player going forward. I think this next couple of seasons for us will prove that he has matured. He's physical. He's got the experience. He's won things all the way up from England, and he's going to probably. Let's hope he wins some from England as a senior.
Absolutely.
But he's won trophies. He won 10 major trophies or something like that now for City already, something like that. He's arguably one of the most experienced, in terms of trophies in our England team. There's not many more than him, is there? If you think about it, there isn't really. Other than Sterling, it's probably just only Raheem Sterling that's probably got more trophies. So,
correct.
His time will come. He's got the experience. He's had a bit of a knockback, but I'm sure being away and being part of that squad for 5-6 weeks like it was has done him the world of good.
So moving away from England, how do you think Laporte's fared for Spain? I think he was in a bit up against it, really, having what's his name? Garcia.
Yeah, I think Laporte was brilliant. Like, fair play to him. He took the ball by the horns and he ran with it. I think Spain played well anyway during the tournament, but he was one of their better players. I think he was fantastic. I think he fit right in, and I think he's got a point to prove. And I like this. I don't believe all this hype that he wants to move anywhere. We know Barcelona can't afford him. We know no Spanish club can afford him anyway. Hopefully he just relishes the competition, and who's it going to be in the centre of it. There's no guarantee that Diaz is going to be as brilliant as he was last season for us. So who's to say it's not going to be Laporte and Stones, playing a few games like they already have done already. I tip my cap to Laporte. I thought he was fantastic.
I thought the fact that he played right side of two centre backs as a left footer.
Mm-hmm.
That's something we've never seen him play before. He actually played there, and he was like, every time he got the ball, he was driving forward with it, and he was always, didn't he have like, I don't ever remember seeing him give the ball away as a right-sided centre-back. He was never out of position. He was cool, calm. So he proved now that on an international stage, you can play at the right-hand side of two. We always assumed he was a left-sided centre-back. Well, he can play a right side just as easily now. So that opens up an all new position for the whole back four, really, for him to play in centre-backs, both sides, and probably left-back if ever needing to.
It's a weird one, though, isn't it? Let's be honest. I think it's down to the fact that Stones had a massive resurgence. A lot of people tend to forget how good Laporte actually is. That the season before last, when he was out injured for a couple of games, we all were like, "Oh, that's it, we're doomed." Rodri, Fernandinho at the back, Garcia here and there and everywhere. Stones out of form. He got a little bit of a knock of injury. Stones made a resurgence. He signed Diaz. He had no shoeing. He had no looking. He's a brilliant defender. We shouldn't really be too surprised, in my view. I'm glad he put away the doubters. I saw on a post, I think it was on our page or someone else's page, somebody calling him disgusting and scum for changing nationalities. It's got nothing to do about that. He wasn't getting a shoe.
Was that a French person by any chance?
It wouldn't surprise me, but I'm just glad. I'm glad going away from Laporte, but the whole City players, a lot of City players are starting to prove a lot of doubters wrong. Whether that's just this summer or towards the end of last season, hopefully they can all, collectively come together and say, look, we're better than all these people putting us down. Let's push forward. Let's have a really good season. Let's rotate the squad with players that are ready to take the bull by the horns.
I have one little tiny worry about Laporte, quickly. When he played last season, he wasn't necessarily at his best every time he played. I think that's because he's the sort of player that needs to play consistently to be at his best. You get some players that can come in like Fernandinho or like play a game, play 2 games out, still as good as he was when he comes back in 2 weeks' time. I think Laporte's one of those, like, he needs to run a games, he needs to feel involved in games to be as consistent as he was the season when he first signed. I feel like if he's going to miss out games, then we're never going to see the levels that we want, which will necessarily get him into those starting spots that we all would like him to be or be ready for.
Who else out of the City players stood out for you?
You've got to give mention to Zinchenko as well for Ukraine. I think Ukraine played out of their skin, and I think Zinchenko was fantastic. That goal he scored was brilliant, I thought. I think he led his team well. I think it showed, as Dan's mentioned over the years as well with Zinchenko, that are we ever going to see him in midfield, which is his more preferred position. He can do a job at left back, but that's where he plays for his country. I think he excelled at the tournament, and not just as in his playing position, but just as a leader of his country as well. So 1.7 million for Zinchenko. He's got to be worth 100 times that now, surely. He's brilliant.
Yeah, I do like Zinchenko. I like the way he brings the team around him as well. It's good. I love the fact that he's not that well thought of in previous seasons, and we spoke before, haven't we? He seems to have this fantastic mental toughness and mental attitude. But he's such a key player for his country, and his country obviously love him. And I think it's fantastic to have those types of players in our ranks. Who are the stars of the show for the Euros? Where you think, okay, I'd love them to come for City this season. Obviously, we know the positions that need strengthening. Dan, I'm going to start with you, mate.
I don't know, because there wasn't.
He's going to say Bellotti, surely. Surely you're going to say Bellotti.
God knows. I picked 3 strikers. None of them scored a bloody goal, and plenty.
Yeah, but I'm still waiting for this Malin to do something. I was watching him. I'm still watching him.
He missed a sitter. That's all he did. Really.
He had good games though. He got stuck in. He couldn't get the ball in the back of the net. But I suppose when he plays out on the left, he's doing a Jesus type role. You can hardly have a chance on goal. But no, going back to what I was going to say, there's not really been a standout performer. It's been standout teams in terms of collectiveness.
Yeah.
This Euros being more of a togetherness Euros, teams that to come together. But from what I've seen, from the players we've got, I'd be happy without really wanting anyone personally.
I'm gonna say one, and I think Dave will agree with me. There's one kid that I'd get, and it's a shame that he plays for this one team, but it's Pedri. I would break the bank for that kid.
Yeah,
he's gonna be like David Silva all over again for somebody. He really is, but he plays for Barcelona. He's literally what's his buyout clause, like $1 billion or something already.
It's 800 million euros or something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
how much?
It's a lot.
I think it's 800 million euros his buyout.
And that's set by La Liga, the buyouts. I'm sure La Liga set those. So yeah, I mean, Pedri would be. He's only 18. Look at him. He got in the team. He was taking a mick with the ball. He had like 100% pass success in like 3 games as a number 10. Mad. He's going to be some player. And if he didn't play for Barcelona, if he played for any other Spanish team, we would sign him. But he's just untouchable.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. He'll be playing for Barcelona for 20 years. He'll be still playing to like 37, 38. It's ridiculous.
And that's the thing, though, Brian. If we did sign him, he'd be playing for Girona against Barcelona for the next 10 years.
No, I genuinely think within a year he'd be in our team. I genuinely think within a year he'd probably be in our team. Somebody would drop out, probably a midfielder. Yeah. You would make space for him because he is to Barcelona what Foden is to us. He is literally like.
Oof, what a statement!
He is honestly, he's brilliant.
Yeah, he's on another planet, and 18 years of age.
18 years,
ridiculous. He led.
Is he 18 years old?
Yeah.
Is he 18? Oh.
He played 45 games for Barcelona last season. So 17 going 18. You've got to be some player to do that.
It's true.
Just quiet out to the side.
I've got a question for you now, and this is a bit of a divisive one, lad. So I'm going to chuck that holy hand grenade right in the middle of the room right now. Has the Euros changed your before Euros opinion of Harry Kane signing for City? I want to go round the room on this because mine has a little bit. And do you know what? I'll start. I'll chuck the hand grenade in. I'll start.
Okay.
I was adamant against getting Harry Kane, but having seen him play, having seen him drop deep, and having seen the range of passes he can do, having seen how strong he is and able to hold up play, I think he could score 30 goals a season for City, and I think he'd make at least 20 for other people. You guys know how adamant I was against it. Brian, I proper pulled the rug underneath your legs a few months ago, didn't I, with those football stats, these injury stats. But do you know what? He's so strong. He can hold the ball. He can head the ball. He can pass the ball. I was really impressed with Harry Kane. I know he had. I know he had. I know. Well, the problem I was so adamant against it. I'm trying to pull myself back into saying, actually, no, he's injury prone. He didn't score many goals.
He's injury prone. He didn't score many goals. Keep him going.
But that was for an England team that's been put together over the last couple of weeks. If he was set in a solid City team with the players we've got around him, I think City could win everything with Harry Kane playing. Come on, lads. Prove me wrong. Come on.
Well, I'll carry on from what you said there. Harry Kane, if we was to sign Harry Kane, he would score 50 goals in a calendar year. and that would be it would be January to January. He would score 50 goals. Right. Not only that, we get an England captain. You've seen what he means to everyone in that squad. You've seen what he means now as a figure for the England team. Imagine the professionalism he's going to bring to our club. You know, I'll be fair. He's not the fastest, but we don't play that sort of way under Pep. We don't have a fast, rapid number 9 that runs in behind. You know, we don't have those. We don't need those. It's not us. We're a slow team. We play build up and we go like that. The fast guys we've got, it never goes down the middle. It's always out wide. So I mean, pay what you want. Pay the money for him. I
can't believe this is the same Tom that's talking now than it was like 3 months ago, Brian. Because I'm thinking to myself, I keep thinking about games where he was battered left, right, and centre, but he still had the ball. He still held the ball well. If you stuck him in that, no, exactly. If you give him Sergio's number 10 shirt, right, and you've got Sterling, Mahrez, Foden, interchanging.
De Bruyne supplying passes for him and then supplying, dropping deep.
I'm telling you,
he scores 50 goals
a season in a year.
Sold. He does. He really does. I can't see how he doesn't. I can't see how he doesn't in that team because you've seen what he's done at Tottenham, and Tottenham aren't even that creative team.
And the biggest thing for me is how many times we've probably Dan, me and you have done quite a number in the times where we said City where we kept passing and passing. We didn't have that almost plan B, plan C. To have him playing from the start, and if we're not doing as well as we are, bring him off, put somebody else. It's just another. How many times has City fans gone, we need a Zeko, we need a tall player to head the ball at the back of the net? Do you know what? Actually, we've got a Zeko. He's 5 times better than Zeko.
You seriously tell me what team in the world he doesn't get in as a number 9? He walks into any team. I
need you to drag him back down to earth, Dan. Tell me why he's not good enough. Come on, Dan.
Well, I'm hoping of all the teams that he won't fit into his cities. I honestly don't know what I'm hearing here. We're banging on about Harry Kane being really tough on the ball. He went down more than Sterling has in his whole career during these Euros to win.
But he won us fouls.
Yes, there were fouls.
He won fouls. Who cares?
What do you want a striker to do? Win.
Okay, fair point.
Or score goals.
Absolute fair point. But we won fouls in dangerous areas, and we've got the world's best midfielder to cross those balls in to equally as dangerous areas for Harry Kane to nod in the back of the net. I tell you what, mate. If players went in against Harry Kane and they started conceding free kicks against City in dangerous areas, are you telling me you wouldn't like Kevin De Bruyne crossing balls in for Harry Kane to score? Oh, come on, Dan!
You get Harry Kane around that 18-yard box.
That's the thing. He never bloody is. All everyone bangs on about is he drops deep.
Yeah, but he's got that in his game. But it
wouldn't surprise me if he's in the goal line for crying out loud.
He wouldn't be doing that for us. He wouldn't be doing that for us because he's got world-class players in every position. He wouldn't because he wouldn't be needed in them positions.
What we need is an out-and-out striker,
goal scorer.
Yeah, someone who will get in the box. I'm sick of all these players coming dropping deep. You just banged on about he drops deep to pick up the ball. What's he do?
Yeah, but he doesn't.
He links up.
He links up. When he drops deep, collects the ball, he doesn't run towards our goalkeeper.
No,
I'm not saying. He passes and moves, doesn't he? He can't. He'll attack. How many goals did he score for Spurs last season?
20 odd.
How many from outside the box?
Probably a couple, maybe. I don't know.
I'd guess. If it's more than 2, I'd be amazed.
Dan, let me just right. You look at Harry Kane as like his number 9. Would you rather have Harry Kane who can drop deep and hold the ball and break up and hold up play and link people, or would you rather have Lukaku who, when the ball hits him, he goes out for a throw in? You know, that's the sort of number 9. That's a big unit. Would you want somebody like that? Because I wouldn't.
I'd have Lukaku hands down over Kane.
Not a chance.
Lukaku runs to the back line, gets into positions, and the ball's crossed in. He will bury it in the back. Kane drops deep, picks up a ball, wins us a free kick. What have you? How many times have we been scored from a free kick? A player like Lukaku will run at defence, terrorise defence, power, prowess, clinical finishing, speed, everything we need in our front line. It's all this. We bang on about City, this passing team, we can't score goals because we need someone up front, a prime young Aguero who would charge at the fences, put the ball in the back of the net, and would win 3 or 4 goals. Kane, he's not. You've done all you two have done is bang on about he drops deep, picks up the ball.
I never said that. This is a goal machine. He'll score anywhere.
But does he drop back?
No, Dan, let me just pose this other side of this question to you. We just watched the Euros. We got to the final. Would you not love to have the England captain wearing the City shirt week in, week out? I think it'd be an absolute honour to have him in our kit. I really do. Given what he represents as an England captain, we've not had many of them over the years play for City. You can probably.
But why do we need an England captain? Why can't we have? It means something
because what he's just done for the country and what they've all just done for the country. Imagine him in our squad representing. It's another level to what we have. It's another level, Dan. It's another level.
Answer me this then: if Kane and Company in their prime were playing in the team, who would you prefer, Company or Kane captain in the team? Nationality don't matter. If you're good enough to be captain, you're good enough to be captain. What we don't need a bloody captain. We've got captains left, right, and centre. We need a goal scorer.
But we have not got an England captain.
And I tell you what, we've not got a penalty taker.
He'll come to City, he'll cock them up as well.
Thank you, Lewis Cooper on Facebook for reminding us that he'd get an extra 10 goals a season as our penalty taker. Yeah, he would.
He probably would.
He got, just so you know, he got 33 goals in 49 appearances last season.
And that's playing for an average Tottenham side run by Mourinho. Who?
Dan, sorry, Dan. Dave, what's your opinion on the England captain potentially coming to City?
I honestly, I hear both arguments, but for me, I'm with Dan. Yeah, we need a bull of a striker, and I'm not saying that Kane isn't strong and can hold the ball up well and whatever else, but if you gave me the choice, I would go with knowing the way that Pep plays as well. I wouldn't want Kane.
Dave, right? If you look at what Harry Kane hasn't won, he's not won anything. Right.
He's not won a thing.
No, he's not won a thing. And you look at the records he's close to breaking. England's leading goal scorer, Premier League leading goal scorer. How hungry of a man do you think he will be? Because he said about these things he wants those. We could not buy a hungrier striker. Think of what he's seen players leave Spurs do. Kyle Walker's the perfect example. He left us, and at the time he might have turned his nose and I'm staying with Spurs. Look at what he's done. Look at what Kyle Walker's gone on to win. Look at all the players that has left Spurs have gone on to win. Harry Kane is going to be the most hungry striker for trophies and records you ever come across. I don't think there's anybody more thirsty for that sort of recognition than what I've seen in Harry Kane. If he comes and he fails, then so be it. But I'd rather... Yeah, he's the sort of player that... I said this before, Alex Ferguson would have signed him 5 years ago, United, if he was still there. He's the sort of player now that when we're at the top, you add those players to your group, and you've got to add something every year. And imagine adding someone of that professionalism. Yeah, we talk about holding the ball up, and that's not the strength of Kane's game. Kane's game is goals. He's got 250 odd goals in his career, whatever he's on now. He's guaranteed to score 50 a season, 50 a year.
221 goals.
221.
336 appearances. That's just for Tottenham. So
let's say he plays for City for 5 years. That's 50 games a season. That's 250 games. He's going to score 200 goals in the team as we have set up now. He's going to be close to another 200 goals. Yeah, imagine what those goals would do to us as a club. Adding them, we're basically replacing Aguero with another goal machine. Somebody will put goals into results. The 1s and 2-0s where we're struggling to break teams down will be comfortable 3s and 4s. You need somebody who's composure and he's got the experience and he's hunger to put those balls in the net. We need that, and find a young 22-year-old who might be this in 5 years time. We get someone now. Get somebody now.
Just Brian, me and you seem to be the only ones with sense at the minute, so I'll put this question to you. How much is he worth? How much is City going to? Because we've often spoken about we won't spend that copious amounts of money on a player, but is now the time? Do you think?
I think so.
130 millions that.
I think if you put 100 million on Spurs and say there's 100 million, none of this over 5 seasons of stuff. Give them 100 million pound, they can't say no. And I guarantee you, as soon as Kane knows that there's a bid there, he'll be into Levy and say, "Look, mate, let me go." And
he must be doing that now.
He's probably already done it. This has already been done. You know it has through agents and stuff. But let the guy go. You know what I mean? You hold him in prisoner for nothing. They're not going to. Spurs are probably going to struggle to finish in the top 10 next season, based on their decline. I just 100 million. How can you say no? It might seem like a lot of money to us. Say, you're paying 100 million for a 28-year-old. Think of the goals he'll score. Even if he scores 100 goals for 100 million, them 100 goals are going to win us trophies. He'll pay for himself. We'll pay for the marketing. Don't worry about it. It's not our money. You know, we've won 10 major trophies in 5 years. The money's there.
So
the marketing's there.
I'm sold. I didn't think I would. I think my head would be turned. So
If he wants an agent, Harry, if you're watching this, I can't sell you. I can't sell you to these fans anymore.
Dan, Dave, what? Obviously, we know what type of player you want, but are you thinking the Lukaku's of the world is the answer, or is there somebody else up your sleeve that you can think of? Because for me, if we're going to replace Sergio, we don't want the player who's going to be a great player in 2 seasons' time. We want a great player now.
Yeah, I think, and I've said this many, many times on Discord now, I honestly don't think we're going to get anyone. I really don't. I think this is all paper talk. And I honestly believe Tixie and Pepper sat down, and you can have 3 forwards essentially, or that's the way Pep sets up. So he has to choose from Mahrez, Sterling, Foden, Torres, Jesus. So you can't put 5 into 3. And I think the argument is going to be those are your choices. Oh, we've got Delap because he's been.
Did you mention Bernardo then?
Possibly, he's an attacking midfielder, and he has played a false 9 before, so that's 7. So how do you get 7 into 3? And I believe that they're just thinking it from the standpoint of we don't need it. My fear is what's going to happen, and I think this is what Brian's alluding to a little bit, is that we're going to have an off season. Like, we didn't replace Company, right? And then we played shite at the back for a season. Then we realized we needed someone, and we brought in Diaz. I think what's going to happen is we're not going to get anyone. We're going to not be as forward thinking. We're not going to score the goals that we want. And then in a season's time, we go, okay, we should have got someone. And then we're going to get someone in season 22-23. I can't see, I don't think they're going to spend that kind of money. 100 million, 130, 150. I really can't see City doing it, and they're going to get outbid. I mean, the Haaland next year, because I don't think he's going anywhere. I think it's just going to be a free-for-all for him next year.
Just following on from what you were saying then about, you think this is going to be a bit of an off year for City where we're just going to sit back and accept we're not going to score a goal. Is that out of the 2 options because Aguero's gone? Or is it just...
I'm not saying that. I think that we'll go into the season thinking we are going to score a lot of goals, because, as I say, we've got those 7 players. But maybe the realization is going to hit around Christmas that, as Brian said, maybe, games are ending up 2-1 rather than 4-1 or something like that. And then the realization will be, you know what, we should bring in a big name striker, and that's going to cause our problems. But City don't seem to be the kind of club nowadays who will throw money at something right now. They've got 7 forward players, and I feel that they're going to go, let's see how these 7 work out, try a few different formations and see if something clicks. Let's not forget as well, Torres had a good Euro tournament. He had a good first season with City as well. And I think they're going to see how things progress with those 7 players rather than going, let's spend 150 million on Kane or Haaland or Lukaku or whatever.
Can I just interject and remind you of the interview Khaldoon did, which is potentially the most aggressively charged. We're going to go out and we're not going to make the same mistakes we've done previously. That's the only thing I'd say against that, Dave. Is Khaldoon has generally come out and said City are going to go spend money. We're not scared of spending money. We're going to do that, and you can kind of read into what he said into he's going to spend that amount of money on one player, or that amount of money on 3 or 4 players. I think it's potentially going to be 3 or 4 players. In my heart of hearts, I can't see us spending 100 million. Would they like us to? Yeah, I think we're going to have to, but I don't know.
Do you think this is going to be the same way? Like we were again talking about on Discord, this Rosa, who's now been mentioned that he might be coming and staying at City. we've paid 1 million for him, and he went on loan to Lamel or someone like that. But if he ends up playing for City, that transfer fee is going to be 21 million apparently. Do you think
the Brazilian lad? The Brazilian lad.
He's the central midfielder, the next Vieira or something like that. Do you think that what's potentially more going to happen, though, is, to your point, that we're going to buy 15, 20 million pound South American next big thing, and we have 4 or 5 of them rather than 100 million on Kane or Grealish or whatever?
Yeah, it's a funny one.
Spending the money.
I mean, we've not even spoke about Grealish yet, have we? And that's pretty much similar to what we've just been talking about now, haven't we?
My gut feeling is listening to that interview, if someone's going to put me against the wall and say, make your choice, I think we're going to spend 50 to 60, 65 on 2 or 3 players individually, rather than one lump sums. If somebody turns around and say, okay, you've got 180, you've got 200 million to spend, then I'm putting that money into. Well, the problem is, there's rumours left, right, and centre. Bernardo wants out. Jesus isn't good enough. Blah, 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 blah. I want Bernardo to stay. I like Bernardo, but if you don't want to stay, then fine, great. Shake your hand. See you later.
Airport,
absolutely,
mate.
But then we bring Grealish in. So it's hard to kind of second guess what's happening in the background, because we really don't know.
And we have raised quite a bit of money for your transfers this season. You know, a little bit parts, 5 million. You know, it does add up eventually.
Absolutely,
a little bits add up.
Well, we're going to get 11 million from Sancho soon, aren't we?
Yeah, so that just chucks it into the pot. And
11, 16 from Angelino.
And there's
as well, so that's
15 from Harrison. That's up to 50 million straight away. And then, you know, you're seeing these other players going for like 8, 9, 10, 11 million. Whose money's coming into the transfer this year that we didn't get a few years ago? Which money?
Zane. That's 43 million.
Zane, so there you go. That's money that's in our pocket now to spend. I just think now's the time. If you want somebody and you've got a bit of money, clubs are vulnerable. They need to make money. They've got their own lens to look after. If we've got the money, what's the point of sitting it now? Because a player we want this season, he has a good season. His value's going up. Let's just go for him now.
Nemetcha 8.5. Someone's just said.
Yeah.
Chris Fons has had a really good question. It's a really good point to raise this. Hypothetically, we don't buy anyone. We go on as normal, stay the same course. We buy the Brazilian kids for a couple of million quid, send them off to Girona, pack the bags, etc. We never see them ever again. Hypothetically, we we don't do anything in the market this year. Where do we finish next season?
Second.
What's going to happen next season?
Second. Like Dave mentioned it.
Last year.
Dave mentioned it. We always look. Only one team defended the Premier League title in like 12 years, and that was us. Quite rare. You know, for us to do it again, we've got to be better than we were this season.
Where did the goals come from?
Well, we're going to struggle because it's just look at history. If we don't, us as a team, if we don't spend, or we don't replace players, we didn't replace Company. If we don't replace Aguero, there's other players that have left over the years that were never replaced for a season. If we don't replace them, we tend to dip.
Yeah, if we don't buy.
Yeah, if we don't replace,
if we don't bring players in this season that are going to fit straight into the squad, my expectations for this season aren't to win the league. Just because I don't think.
I think second. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, I'm going with Brian. I think we'll be second. I can't see past Chelsea, to be honest. I think
Chelsea are going to be strong. Manager. They're going to be strong, aren't they?
And I think they've got the bit between the teeth now to really kind of make something. It sounds like they're going to spend money as well, not necessarily on Haaland. I know there's a lot of paper talk about that, but they just seem a really, really strong team. And I said it, Brian's now said it as well. We struggle when we don't replace.
Well,
but
you should always invest when you're at the top. You know, it's the best time to invest is when you're on top, and we've never really done that. It's always been not panic spending, but reactionary buys. We've got the time now. The transfer targets will have been locked in prior to the Euros, probably most of the end of the last season. You know, do the business, get the players in. We are arguably one of the top 2 teams in the world right now. So why would we risk letting that drop to even 3rd or 4th? We need to get to the number 1 spot, and by doing that,
especially as our competition are in a seriously weak position.
Apart from Paris Saint-Germain, who just look at they've strengthened. They've strengthened. They might not have spent a lot of money on.
Did I see they signed Donnarumma?
Yeah.
Have they just signed Donnarumma? That's a brilliant signing, by the way. Yeah,
he's on a fortune, by the way. He's on 700,000 euros a week or whatever.
He's not, is he?
He's on a fortune. Yeah, he's on a fortune.
Because he was free.
Yeah, he's on a fortune. All the transfer money that he would have paid for me has gone to him and his agent. So, you know, They just signed Hakimi. Ramos is probably on a fortune as well. They just signed Wijnaldum. So what they're not spending on actual transfer fees, don't worry, they're caning that on wages.
So if we want to compete against them, we've got to go out and spend.
They are the team to beat now in Europe. We are. I say we are the team to beat, but if we're going to beat anybody, you've got to beat Paris Saint-Germain.
Agreed.
How do you feel? Mark Hempstead has just asked the question on Facebook. Basically the lines of we won the league without a striker, etc., etc., etc. No point spending money for the sake of it. Delap is hopefully going to break through this season. I just can't see it, Mark. I can't. I just can't. I love the idea of it. City, for some reason, Dave, you've pulled up on this recently. City just don't have the same thing that United have got. Have been able to bring through youth strikers.
We don't produce strikers. We produce goalkeepers and defenders, midfielders. Out of our arse.
I just can't see it. Can you guys see Delap being here for a couple of seasons? Can you guys genuinely, hand on heart, say to me, you can see Delap started for City regularly? Dan's nodding his head. You look like one of those
absolutely
water duck things.
I
just can't see it.
Second. Will he get game time? Yes. Will he go down the Foden route of getting in and around the first team and getting some experience? Maybe on the bench. That is valuable to someone like that. Will he break into it? When have we ever produced a striker? And when do 18-year-old strikers ever burst on the scene in the Premier League? Really, they don't. So let's not start throwing all these things that the Lapwalk is the next Messiah, because there isn't any Messiahs that are 18, 19, doing that in the world anywhere. I mean, look at Mason Greenwood. We know how good Greenwood is. He doesn't get much game time at United as a centre forward, does he? And we all know how good potential he's got. He can't even get in that team. So we don't put too much pressure on the lap. Let him develop. I think we'll see him when he's about 20, 21, when he's filled out and he's matured and he's got the experience. I think that's when you start seeing the best of Delap. Having him in and around the team now is the best thing for him. Thinking he's going to bang us 20 goals in next season to win a Premier League title, we're so far away from that.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Can't disagree with that.
If he does, then absolutely, chef's kiss. Beautiful. What a player we've got. We'll reap rewards, but it's got to be realistic.
I think it's great that he has been brought into the senior team, and I agree with Brian. I really believe with Delap this season, what's going to happen is that when they do their 6-on-6 or whatever it might be in training, they're going to have Delap going against Stones and Diaz.
Yeah.
Go, right, Guardiola's going to say to Delap, right, I want you to pretend you're Harry Kane or, whatever, Benteke. You're playing up against this player at the weekend, so play like him. And I think he'll just develop.
Oh, yeah, Dave. I mean, if in training he's absolutely tearing training apart and he's ripping those centre-backs apart in training, then absolutely put him in, because we've got some of the best defenders in the world. So if we can do that against the ones in training, then bang him in there. But I think he's just on that progression. He's going up. He's torn the EDS apart. Plenty of players have done that in the past, haven't they? The EDS, you know what I mean? We've had players. Daniel Sturridge did that in the reserves that we had. He didn't really do much for City. He obviously went to have quite a good career, but he didn't do it from that. Bradley Wright Phillips, you remember Bradley Wright Phillips? He had an amazing couple of seasons in the reserves and couldn't hit a donkey's arse with a banjo for us in the Premier League. So, what's to say that he's not any better than, or no better than what Delap was? We don't know. Just give him time.
Exactly. And I think he'll get it. There's 7 forwards that we've got, and I think they'll be rotated. I think this is a really, really big season for Torres. I really do. He had a good tournament, a decent first season with City. We've seen this time and time again. Second season with these players that Guardiola has brought in, they tend to flourish. They tend to have understood, this is what I need to do to be a starter, and this is what I need to do to keep my place. I'm expecting big things from Torres this coming season.
Really looking forward to watching Torres this season. We're gonna do a proper pre-season show, aren't we? When does the season start? It's the 7th, isn't it? So we've got what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, Dan said, don't we have the Charity Shield in two weeks or something?
Yeah. Oh, 2 weeks on Saturday. That's bonkers. That is. That's coming around quick, isn't it? I think we've got to be on football. It's coming around. So we got Leicester, haven't we?
Yes.
Leicester
in our southern home.
Dan, can you still hear us?
Yeah.
Oh, fab. So we're going to do a pre-season, aren't we? So we won't do that next week. We'll do that the week after. We'll do something next week. How do we think? Do you think we're going to be signing anyone before that then? We've got 2 weeks, haven't we, in theory? When does the transfer window end? Is it the end of the month? Or is it like
It's usually the last day of last working day of August, isn't it?
Yeah, August 30th.
Is it the last working day?
Right,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's still plenty of time for something to go off then, isn't there?
I think we'll start
Go on,
seeing.
Dan.
I think we'll
Give
start
us some
seeing
good news. Are we going to
next
sign
next
anyone,
week.
Dan?
Well, I could start a rant because basically I'm just going to disagree with everything you've all said the past 10 minutes. I think we'd finish first if we didn't sign anyone. I honestly believe that. Going back to your point, Dave, Ferran Torres looks a brilliant player up and coming. Takes 2 years for a player in Pep's team to surge up, have a good season. He's had that year under his belt now. Aguero hardly played last year, and we still won the title. Not scoring many goals, like everyone seems to think we're not going to do this year unless we sign a striker. We still won it. We've got a much better defence. Personally, I honestly think Delap might be the answer. Not 30 goals a season. I'm not saying he's going to be the next Haaland, but you think about it, all these world-class young strikers, they started off somewhere and they all have a similar pattern. You look at Rashford. Rashford is the next big thing. Yes, he's disappeared nearly in terms of a striker, but he scored goals in a hatful for United and he broke through when he was about 17. Greenwood, he is 17. He's not going to get in ahead of Cavani, but for a period, for about a quarter of a season for United, he was their number one striker because he was banging in the goals. You're not going to get ahead of that if Cavani, the wages Cavani's on either. And United are starting to have a build-up of that. There's talks of Greenwood being pushed into that striker role, so there's still that option. For me, Delap, going back to, I think it was what Brian said, Sturridge, Wright Phillips, didn't really do much for City, but bombed in for the EDS. Compare the City teams back then to the City team now. Massive difference. You don't have to be a massive player in EDS to get into this team to score goals. I honestly think, give Delap the chance. He's a poacher. He will be in that 6-yard box. He will put balls in the back of the net. We might get away with not having to sign anyone. I honestly believe that.
That is a bold statement, sir.
But I do want to say I don't expect Delap to be like a 30-goal season, but it would not surprise me if he gets 20 plus.
Would you be disappointed if we didn't sign anybody?
Yes, I'd be.
I would be.
Content for me.
Nah.
Dan, Dave, what do you reckon? Would you be disappointed if we didn't sign anybody? I'm asking that question to everyone watching on Facebook, by the way. Would you be disappointed if we didn't sign anybody?
Only
after all the paper talk and everything about Haaland and Kane, etc., etc.
Only because I agree with Brian that you do have to reinforce what you've already got. Just because we won the League Cup and the Premiership and we got to the final of the Champions League, that doesn't mean the same's going to happen again. That you know, I hate to say it, but Ferguson, throughout all those years at United, always strengthened, even when they cleaned up, always strengthened his team. So I'd be surprised if we didn't. I will highlight, though, do you remember what happened when Mancini won the title? He was given a lot of money after that, and he brought in some absolute gash players after that. He wasted that money. The only one at the top of my head I remember is Garcia. Do you remember that midfielder? I think he went to Spartak Moscow or something like that. He just seemed to spend 100 million on absolute crap. Oh, Rodwell was another one he brought in after we won the title.
Rodwell.
And it just seemed to be, we were, okay, well done, Roberto. You won the title. We're going to give you some money. Go and strengthen. And it was all wrong. And I'm not saying we do it the same this way, but I'm hoping that we'd be more cautious this time about who is the right player to bring in if we're going to spend that kind of money.
I don't think. I mean, if we don't sign anybody, I'd be absolutely disgusted by the fact that we didn't. Just because.
That's a strong.
No, I would, because if you think about it, right? If somebody, so I'm going to say you just say two names now. If Grealish and Harry Kane, if we are led to believe that we're going to sign Knowles for whatever it costs, then so be it. If we don't sign Knowles and they do one or two things, they stay at their clubs and have really, really good seasons, and we struggle, then it's always going to be a case of why don't we sign him? Or if they worst case scenario, go to one of our rivals and flourish. They are going to be.
That worries me.
They are going to be at them teams for the rest of their career.
That
Jack
really
Grealish's next move, he'll be there for the rest of his career.
Can you imagine United signing Kane and Grealish?
If Harry Kane goes to United, he'll break that. If Kane goes to United, he'll break that record by Alan Shearer at United. And you've got to think, well, it's only goals, but those goals win games. And in United, we are seriously strengthening our opponents by not making these moves in the market.
When we can do as well.
When we can do, we are strength. Not only are we not strengthening ourselves, we're allowing our opponents to strengthen with players that we would strengthen us.
Well, let's face it, United
was, for what business acumen, we don't need that.
United was second this year, last season, weren't they? I think we all admit Chelsea are going to be really strong this season. If United sign, they're not going to. If they signed two players with the caliber of Kane and Grealish, I tell you what, we're going to be in a fight. We're going to be in a fight, lads. Because we're going to be in a fight.
Signing Sancho, they're probably going to get Varane. If they had, look, United, we do know United have got the problems, but they're a bottomless pit of money when it comes to wanting to spend money on big transfers. They can find money if they want it. They can get money from anywhere they want.
Go on, Dan.
You know,
loved it when we really wanted Sanchez, and he went to United and had a brilliant season and won titles.
I argue that if he'd have signed
when we
Sanchez,
really
he wouldn't have been a bad player.
really wanted Fred, because Fred was going to be the next big thing in midfield. United signed him. They won a lot of titles. I don't.
These are players on different levels.
But these
were teams at different levels as well, Dan.
Yeah.
Different managers at different levels.
Dan,
if you would have put Fred under Pep or Sanchez under Pep, I tell you what, they'd be world beaters now, mate.
Sanchez is what Kane is to Spurs.
No.
Hands down. Sanchez was keeping Arsenal in that fight for the top four. Kane is doing the exact same for Spurs. He moved to United. Yeah, but what did he do at United? He flopped.
Did you know why he flopped at United? Because of the atmosphere and the personalities. And honestly, you might be laughing at me. He went there and the training was shit. The managerial system was shit. There was nothing. That isn't City. This is what happened with Sanchez. He went there and he had all those things that were there that basically made him tank with his morale, and he went down and struggled. Not that way. City have a positive atmosphere at our club now. Very, very different. It is, Dan. It really is, honestly. These two players, if we don't sign them, they will strengthen somebody else, and we will be sorry for it, because it will bite us on the ass.
So it's like when Fergie bought what's his name, the Bulgarian lad City's wanted to sign. Berbatov. He was brilliant at United, and then Van Persie won the season.
Oh yeah, that was
those players are coming into a winning team. Because they were winning then. They were. What did they do when they came in? They won again. They won again. You know, once you take that formula out of it, they start to go downhill. You're adding players in that maybe they don't necessarily mix, but you're trying to chase something. We're on top now. Now's the time to invest.
I think I agree.
And I just want to end with saying, like, we're all disputing it, and this and the guy at the top of our club has said we're spending money. Be ready. We are going to be aggressive in the market, like we always are. We are bringing players in, so I don't know why we're sat here thinking maybe we won't sign anybody, because the chairman's literally said we're signing people, and we've already, I trust that guy. I watch his reviews at the end of every season. I have
also shoved us into a franchise league as well.
Oh, come on!
I think, Brian, it's really what the strategy is going to be behind that. It's whether is it 4 £25 million players who we utilise sparingly, or maybe they go on loan for a year. And then, in 2 or 3 years, they're going to be world beaters. Or to your point, is it the £100 million
I think
player?
it'll be more than one player.
We don't know right now.
Well, like I said, we mentioned it before, we've had a big influx of transfer money come in. So you can kind of write that off against one of the big players, mostly. If one of our players is to leave, like we all think one of them might, then that's more money. And then even then, we're not touching our own funds, which we've got from getting to the Champions League final. We've won the Premier League 4 times in the last 7 or 8 years, whatever it is. All the revenue from that, we've got, it's all, the money's there. Yeah, COVID's been an issue and stuff, but if any club can absorb it, we can. That's a question of the day, but I generally think, like, the money's there to spend. Now is the time to buy. Because in a year's time, a player that we want for 100 million has a good season. Clubs have got revenue again. They don't have to sell as much. The price is going up. It's a buyer's market.
Well, that's I mean, you're definitely right there. When as people are allowed back into stadiums, and
right. Well, then, so it is a buyer's market. It is, because
it is.
Which team genuinely is going to turn down? Are Aston Villa going to turn down 80 million for Jack Grealish if they see the check with all those zeros on and say, "There's your money"? On a piece of paper, they're going to say, "Yeah, we want to keep Jack Grealish. Is our best thing." But when you think of those zeros and how much that money is going to impact on the losses that they've had and how much it will stabilise their finances, of course, you can't turn that money down.
Nobody would. If we could bring in £100 million player now over 5 years, 20 million a season, I still think that's a good.
Yeah, but we do that anyway. We've bought these young Brazilians and we do this. We do buy these young kids and they come in and they might. I just don't ever expect anything from these young lads that we buy for
$8
million, 11
million.
I'm
kind of lost patience with the young ones coming in because I just don't expect to see him. It was that right back that we've.
I said that.
Couto. Where's he now?
You'll never see him in a City shirt ever. And there's 12. Well, it was 6 million up front, and it was another 6 million based on appearances and whatever.
Dan, I remember me and you buzzing about him and bigging him up, and before you know it, he's lost in Europe somewhere now, backpacking around Cambodia or something. God knows where he is.
He's at Girona now, and I think I've already read that he's going to be there for another season.
We're not going to see him again, are we? We need to accept that we're going to bring in these young lads, and we're not going to see him again.
Well, even when they do play, I still don't think we'd see much of them. There's two fullbacks on either side that we've had under our belt. One of them's played a good few games and we sold him, and that's Angelino, and the other one's Pedro Porro. What a player he's turning out to be. He's never even played for City.
Do you know what the sad thing is? I've no idea what you mean. I've no idea what you're talking
money
about.
in the bank, Dan. That's what it is. Whether we agree with it or not, and whether it's a proven method.
But we're strengthening other teams, which is a down thing for City.
Yeah, but we're not strengthening our direct rivals. Are we?
Could be really? In the future.
In the future, we're talking hypothetically in X amount of years, but
at least we can make 10 million off them now, as opposed to nothing from them in a few years' time. I have no issues with what we're doing business-wise because it's building everything around the club that I love. I honestly, I can't argue. I can't have any complaints with what's happened over the last 10 years. Who am I to? My business degree is nowhere near sports. I have no idea.
I mean, we all speculate what we want to happen, what we think might happen. There are people being paid 7-figure salaries out there.
Yeah,
that are paid to make decisions based on finances, marketing, what this guy's going to do for the future. Leave it up to them. We just enjoy the speculation and ifs and nuts.
One quick question to ask before we shoot off, because we've nearly done an hour, is Sterling, thoughts on a new contract for him?
Mm-hmm.
Is that thumbs up across the board?
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, we just need the Sterling back that played for England. He did. He had a disappointing season for City, and I think he would admit that. But different player for England, and let's hope that the crowd behind him and good support that we'll get that player back in August. Because
I think they will. I think all the fans will be right behind him now after what he's done for England. So. I agree with you.
Another 5-year contract, £400,000 a week. The wages
How
to
old
me,
is he?
26.
26.
Oh,
26.
Right, yeah.
5 more years. Yeah. Get him time into his prime. Let time down. Let him have these appearances. If he scores 25 goals a season, then in 5 years that's 100 more goals. Like I was saying before, that equates to a lot of points, a lot of wins. Paying what he's worth, because he's developed into a world-class player. And if we let somebody like that go, what's the point in bringing him in the first place?
There's not many teams he wouldn't walk into. I mean, even off the top of my head, I can't think of one. Would he get into the Barcelona team? Probably ahead of Griezmann. Probably. Yeah. Would he get into PSG? Yeah.
Or Di Maria? Yeah, absolutely.
Probably.
Yeah. So
Chelsea,
like I say,
definitely.
He's priceless to us because Pep believes in him. He's done an absolutely amazing job at England. Off the pitch, he's an icon to a lot of people.
Yeah.
He's for that reason alone, paying what he wants. It's not like he's a token player, it's not like he's playing just for the sake of it and he's this name player that we're playing. Yeah, fair enough, he had a bad couple of months, but you see the bad couple of months don't outweigh the whole 3-4 seasons from the Pep way has been absolutely brilliant. So everyone's allowed to have a bad day at work, so be it.
What's your thoughts on the Griezmann rumours?
Why it's just Barcelona's agents working overtime to try and sell try and sell players.
That's never going to happen.
Don't get me wrong, Griezmann had a good Euros. His work rate is, I didn't know he worked that hard, but he won't get in our 25-man squad, I don't think.
He would, I don't think he'd last 90 minutes in a Premier League game. He would be hammered.
His agent, I'd love him to sell my house. Yeah. Was he on €800,000 a week or something? And there was no clubs in for him when he left Atletico Madrid. It was Barcelona were literally the only team that wanted him, and he's gone from 150,000 to that much. That's some negotiation tactics. That.
Yeah. Yeah. No way. Dan, surely you don't want. I know you want a striker, and I do too. But surely you want to have Griezmann.
I've never understood the hype. Yes, he had a good couple of years at Atletico Madrid, but I've never seen enough of him. In terms of games, I just don't see his work ethic. You know, he's a bit too fancy behind the man type thing.
He's a lazy inside striking. We don't need one of them. We've had them. We don't need them.
Need a
workhorses with nice personalities at our club. That's what we want.
But talking of one player, I know it's more of a preview show, but one player that is heavily linked now, he hasn't signed a contract, he'll be cheap. Ings. I would be genuinely happy with Danny Ings. He's that poacher.
Southampton have said today they don't want to sell him that.
I find it very hard. I find it very hard to be excited about the prospect of signing Danny Ings. Yeah, I'm sure he'll do a job for us. I'm sure he'd score. He just sounds like John Macken Part 2. I know that's probably a massive disservice to him, but I just find it very hard. I just find it very hard to be excited.
On the show again?
Hey, we all know I love John Macken. I just find it very hard to get excited about him. I'm sure John Macken would be very understanding of what I'm saying there. It's true though, isn't it? It's not.
This way. It could be a transfer strategy. You know, I think City has shown if he doesn't move to Chelsea, if Haaland is, other than Kane, our number one choice next year, I think he's release clause up to 76 million or something like that. A year or two with Danny Ings on a very, very cheap pay. You know, money talks. Southampton. I know as Brian was saying, Southampton don't want to sell him, but it's like he said, it's a buyer's transfer market. If a good amount of money comes in Southampton, they're going to bite your hand off it to sign a couple of players that want to be there. Sign a poacher on really good form in Danny Ings for a couple of seasons in his prime. Haaland's transfer value goes down. City save a lot of money to get a striker, which they need.
I'd accept Ings as a striker, as a transfer, if he came in with after somebody else. If we signed Harry Kane and then we signed Danny Ings, I'd be like, yeah, fair enough, bring Danny Ings in, whatever. I'd accept that. Because let's be honest, everyone thinks we need one striker. I generally think we need more than one. We've only got one number 9.
God, yeah.
Yeah, so if he was Danny, if he was a +1, then absolutely. But if he was our main signing, I'd be like, come on, mate.
Well, his record isn't bad, but it's not fantastic.
But you think of the teams he's played in. I know people will throw out he's played for Liverpool, but
he's 28. He's 28, and at Southampton since 2019, he's scored 34 goals in 67. Which, yes, granted, is good, but he's their number one striker
in a poorer team. We're talking about a team that's been battered 9-0
over 3 seasons. Over 3 seasons, he's not scored more than 15 goals.
Do you know where Danny Ings is going, Tom?
Tottenham
to replace Harry Kane.
Tottenham to replace Harry Kane.
Perfect signing for Spurs.
Yeah.
God's sake, can we end in
this?
We're on the same wavelength.
30 million there. Have it.
You notice that wavelength then?
Yeah, there you go. 30 million for. I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen. Let him go to Spurs.
Do you know what? He's putting a $5 on that.
Replacement.
Lads, out of your 2 windows, there's blue flashing lights are there for you.
I'm running. They don't know where I am. I'm in an Airbnb in Yorkshire. Ooh, can't find me. I just find it very hard to get excited about the prospect of signing Danny Ings. I just don't see him bringing anything to what. I'd rather give Delap a go.
Maybe that's our 2 strikers.
Danny Ings and Delap. Fucking hell, mate.
I'd be happy.
We want to qualify for Europe. Give us a chance.
We won the title last year with no striker. Danny Ings is on form.
That won't happen this year. That won't happen this year because other teams now know the formations we play and we need to adapt again.
Agreed.
Exactly. We need to adapt. Never had an out-and-out striker. That's the new formation.
Imagine if Pep switched to the good old 4-4-2 and brought in Ings and Delap up front all next season, started lumping it, flick-ons and Get
Why
ball
not?
into the box.
Harry
Maybe.
Redknapp
I'd accept that for a year. It'd be fun to watch.
Hey lads, I've got some good news for you. Guess what? Isco has got 1 year left in his contract. He could finally disco Isco coming to City.
Oh,
And
I've
Messi
not actually read.
transfer part 2.
I've not read about him being transferred to us this season. He's going to be one during.
It must be there somewhere. There must be a
be.
transfer rumor for Isco coming to City. It's not a transfer window without seeing Isco to City at some point going on the line.
Someone jump on page and put it on now. You heard it here first.
Just seen Isco in that Altrincham Tesco's.
Danny Ings passing it to Isco. Isco to Ings. Delap! It's not happening, lads.
So you've got a goal back. There you go.
Oh, right. Let's end it there, boys. Harry Kane signing for City, followed by Jack Grealish and Danny Ings being the ball boy. Right.
Okay.
Blind.
Listen, absolute pleasure. We'll do another one next week, lads.
Brilliant.
We'll crack on and we'll do a preview show. But how nice did it feel to talk in City? It's lovely, isn't it?
Lovely.
Good.
And I will just add as well, Georgie Kinkladze, who, Tom, I still think is your favourite player, signed for City 26 years ago today.
Did he? Why do I not know that? I should know this.
Is that because David Silva signed for us today as well? Like,
Yesterday,
it seems
David
to be a
Silva.
day. That's why I was saying
That
to
was
Dan,
yesterday,
who would
David Silva.
sign? Yeah, Georgie Kinkladze. Now, how much would he be worth now?
Do you know what? The problem is he won't get in our team. He's too lazy. Pep
It'd be like Griezmann. It'd be a Griezmann one.
Yeah, Pep wouldn't touch Kinkladze with a barge pole.
But he would. I bet you he'd be at PSG, Kinkladze.
But I tell you what, yeah, that's a really good shout, actually.
Yeah,
that's a really good shout.
Just before we go, they're no longer with City, but a big shout out to Sergio Aguero and Nico Otamendi for winning the Copa America with Argentina.
Yeah, well done, lads.
About time.
Yes. I can't believe that's Messi's first.
Yeah, I'm really made up for Messi because he's dragged that international team for a while and they've never really got anywhere. He's had a load of aggro on his saying he's never won anything at international level and Ronaldo's done this, but good on him. You know, it got him a new contract.
Yeah.
50% pay cut on $62 million a year, whatever it is.
Has he got a new contract yet?
Yeah, today it's been announced 50% pay cut.
5 years.
50%.
It's 2 years, isn't it? But it's a 5-year contract, but he'll stay with the club for 2 more years, and then you reckon he'll go out somewhere for 3 years, but still be paid by Barcelona.
So basically, telling me in 18 months' time he's going to be rumoured to come to City again. Not happening.
Probably.
I think that's finally done now.
Do on, Leo. We want Isco. Right, we're ending it here, lads. Have a lovely evening, and we'll speak next week.
Come
on, City. Cheers, boys.
Bye-bye.